Give us the high point and the low point of your experience with Lou Pearlman.
So when things are going well with him, obviously it's like fun-loving and jolly and everything. But when things went south, it was like you were dead to him.
Robert Thor led a happy and nearly charmed life, with a deeply religious upbringing that gave him the strength to weather any storm. In his new book, Robert shares the story of how everything changed when he was introduced to Lou Pearlman, creator of the famous Backstreet Boys and NSYNC boy bands, but also the con man of all con men.
Robert, everybody starts out in life somewhere. Tell us a little bit about your background, growing up, anything we need to know.
I was born in the Bronx, New York, and interesting, when I came into Earth, my mom we were both given our last rites because in 1959, the cord was wrapped around my throat. So it was very tricky. It was a really tough thing. So the Catholic father came in, gave last rites, and we both survived, my mom and I. So kind of an interesting way to come in.
Was there any one time when you were growing up that you felt faith really became something real for you?
I think when I was a teenager, I had a really tough experience with, it was an accident. I dove off a bridge and hit bottom. And I tore all the ligaments in my neck and 2, 3, 4, 5 on my vertebrae. They had to be fused together. And my mom was really paranoid because it was, at that time, 1973, it was really risky surgery. So it was 3 times more dangerous than open heart surgery. Morris Cirillo is an evangelist out of California, and he prayed for me. And then on the way home, I told my mom and dad, I want to have that surgery. And there was a calmness in myself. There was confidence, and my mom saw that. Where before she was just completely afraid. If you can imagine being a mother, your doctors are telling you that it's, very dangerous. So we called up, and the next day I was in the hospital, and surgery was the answer, and here I am.
Decades later, right? Healthy.
Yeah.
Despite you had very humble beginnings, yes?
Yes.
And yet you managed to carve out a niche for yourself. Just explain briefly what that niche was professionally.
Well, I started off in insurance in 1984 in the senior market, Medicare supplements, annuities, and long-term care insurance. And around 1990, we converted. We started doing Medicaid, financial planning with Medicaid, and working with elder law attorneys. So when seniors were in a nursing home, we would preserve their estate with the different vehicles, the different products, and they would have government assistance. And so it was really a good way to make a living, and I'm still doing that today.
One of the things I read in your book is that people had a tremendous amount of trust in you. So that's where we're kind of getting to the next thing. There's a gentleman that enters into your life by the name of Lou Pearlman. Explain to everybody, first of all, who Lou is, or who Lou was.
Lou created the Backstreet Boys, and actually, on paper, he's one of the Backstreet Boys. So he's one of the members. That's kind of goofy, but
it is goofy.
A little trivia. And he created NSYNC, hence the name of the book, NJustice. We wound up meeting Lou through a fellow of Michael Credelli. We met him on an insurance convention in Chicago, and met him. Everything seemed to be pretty much on the up and up. We had a multitude of attorneys meet, and with our due diligence with Lou, meet with him over at Transcontinental in Orlando, because we wanted to make sure that everything was solid.
Here's something that I didn't realize, but I learned in this book. Lou was not only the creator of Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and this mogul when it came to creating music wonders, but he had a separate company. So explain how your company and his separate company were going to be working together.
Yeah, what he did was he had a financial product. It was an ESA product that typically...
ESA.
Employee Investment Savings Account. So what he did on it was you would have a share of stock in the company, and that would allow you to go ahead and purchase an ESA account. So that was kind of how it started, and it went on for decades before we were involved.
So let me, if I could just step back properly, does this mean that some of you or your elder care clients were going to be placing their financial funds in the care of this particular account that was being managed or owned, whatever, by Lou Pearlman? All sounds good. You did all your due diligence. Okay.
The first publicized Ponzi, because that's what we're talking about, was Lou, because it wound up getting a lot of media attention all over the world because he was on the run in our government. And they were looking for him. But as I mentioned in the book, I found out after doing research, I didn't know at the time because me and my business partner were under investigation. Because even though we shut down Transcontinental and brought Lou Pearlman to justice, where eventually he died in prison, they didn't give us any type of immunity. They went ahead and actually, it's like the Allman Brothers song, you're tied to the whipping post. Yeah, we were on the whipping post. And we had, I think, 3 government agencies that were investigating us at the same time.
So you and your business partner are working in tandem with Lou Pearlman's investment that was supposed to be very secure for these elder care clients that you were serving. First of all, because I know people will be interested in this, give us some insights as to any involvement, personal involvement, or social involvement you had with Lou, so that people get a flavor for what he was like when you were with him.
First off is, he would always answer the phone. He was very good with communication. So as always learning things in business, that's one of the traits I always carry from him, is that, people don't like to be ignored. And he
was accessible.
He knew how to make people feel important.
Including you and your business partner.
Right. Everybody forgets all the good times. It's a shame that it was all deception and sleight of hand. But, it was, really a lot of fun at that period of time. There was always excitement.
When was your first clue that something was awry?
We got a phone call from the state. We met with an attorney in St. Petersburg that was in securities and had really good credentials. And at the first meeting, he, in talking about it, he mentioned a couple of things, and one of them was Ponzi. And it had never been publicized, the word. I kind of, off the cuff, I said, "You mean Potsy from Happy Days?"
So you didn't know what a Ponzi scheme was, which is like a house of cards being built financially that has no real foundation, right? Yeah, so you're totally naive. That's my sense.
Correct.
Okay.
The state said that you could go ahead and sell it still. We were uncomfortable because she said that it was non-registered.
That was the question mark. Okay.
Yeah, at that point, we only knew that so she said it was a registration issue. But the funny thing is, in the book, we did some research after the fact, after everything went down. I mean, the state already knew it was a Ponzi.
So something is wrong, you hear this, but then the state regulators tell you and your partner to continue offering these services. Tell us now, when did things really start spiraling out of control?
Well, for us, it was right there. We were just kind of like, we sent a formal letter to Lou saying that we're no longer, representing or selling in any capacity any of his products, and then things just kind of went a little bit slowly, because these types of cases go slowly, because they had an investigation with Lou, and he came out. Matter of fact, he bragged about it and said, we're in very good standings. We're, on the up and up. The state came through and went through our company, and we came out, smelling like rose.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, when did things start to shift with Lou and your relationship with Lou?
Right about then. And then he went ahead and wrote letters to our clients saying that we were under investigation.
So you go from being the innocent, unknowing party to suddenly being something of a scapegoat.
He tried to go ahead and defer stuff away from him, but because he was looking at trying to keep monies to come in, he was doing anything.
That was his big plan, to keep money coming in to furnish the lifestyle with the boy bands and the travel around the world.
Well, with the Ponzi, I think after having a small understanding of it after the fact, is that you have to keep on having monies come in for deposits to keep up with the,
expenses or payouts on the other
payouts
side.
On the other side. And so it was a really tough time, and then there was so much worry. The most difficult time was when we received target letters from the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
So now the FBI is looking at you.
And my business partner.
For being connected with Lou Pearlman,
right,
who everybody across America thought was a wonderful man.
Yeah, Big Papa. They had all kinds of nicknames for him, And so that was a tough time, because we had our attorneys said that we could only talk in a specific room in his office, and we couldn't talk
about the investigation,
about anything regarding the business or anything regarding the investigation, and it kind of wears on you.
I was going to say, how does that feel with your personal life?
Yeah. Well, I was personally attached to my business partner. She's an ex-wife now. We were kind of made a kind of like a scapegoat.
Yes, I think that would be the word I would use after having read your book. Definitely scapegoats. After all of this hits your professional life, your involvement with your partner, the manner in which you were always viewed by other people as a person of high integrity, what do you do at that point to kind of turn your life around?
I mean, you have to understand, since inception of my career, none of my clients ever lost a red penny, in any type of investment or anything. So that changed with Lou Pearlman's sentencing. The judge in Orlando, when he set his sentence, he said, for every million you give back is a month off of your term.
To Lou.
Right. They didn't do that to Madoff. They didn't do that to anybody. The history of a judge going ahead and sentencing anybody. So that has a big question mark about where did the money go.
Which is why you were being personally surveilled by the federal government.
They just want to have somebody, they really wanted to make an example of us.
Your worst moment in this entire story, lowest point.
Target papers from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. and Charlotte and I crying, wondering who's going to raise our kids. It could have been worse, but by the grace of God. And then that was our, going to church and being faithful, and has really helped out.
You had gone on a few missions trips, I guess, Nicaragua, where else? And what has this done for your soul? And what has this done for you?
The first mission trip was an eye-opener. So I went and it changed my life. It was a very emotional time for me.
So it helped you by going at some level.
Oh, and on all levels. We always found out that what was the biggest problem in these villages, and it was the water. So then we tried to help with getting wells done. And so that's what we did. That helped me inside. And it helped me see things differently and feel better inside. And when you've been deceived, to feel trust again in some form. It's so important.
Why did you choose to write this book?
I would think for me inside is to feel whole a bit, because a part of me was taken from that Ponzi. An impeccable reputation, integrity, and business partner, and all kinds of things like that on a personal level.
What has been your biggest personal life lesson, life takeaway?
Forgiveness. Forgiving. Period.